Am I the asshole for refusing to watch my neighbor's kid before school because she kept nagging me? I F35 am a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids, John, M10 and Ava, F8. My neighbor, Zoe, F42 works full-time and asked at the beginning of the school year if she could drop off her daughter, Sue, F9 an hour before school started twice a week. I agreed and was happy to help out a neighbor. However, things got bad pretty quickly. My kids do not get along well with Sue and see entertaining her as a chore. Both of my kids enjoy sports, arts, and playing outside, while Sue is glued to her phone. Despite this, Sue pouts when my kids do their own thing instead of trying to engage her. Zoe called me a few weeks into the school year to nag me for having the kids bike to school, saying it was unsafe and asking me to drive Sue. I told her no, if Sue was old enough to have a phone she was old enough to bike to school. A week later, she asked me to cook real sausage for Sue in addition to veggie sausage I make for my kids, my husband and I don't buy meat. I told her no, Sue could eat what I cook, but if she wanted specific food she would have to prepare it herself. For the first semester of school, Zoe nagged me with similar requests. Don't play songs with explicit lyrics, don't let multiple kids on the trampoline simultaneously, watch the kids when they're outside, etc. When I refused, she was respectful and would be like, sorry to bother you, but she still had new requests every week. At the end of the semester, I told her I was not going to make adjustments to our family lifestyle and inconvenience my family for the sake of her child. Sue's safety was not at risk. If she was unsatisfied with Sue's situation, there were plenty of other people in the neighborhood who could watch her. Zoe seemed really receptive, and I was hopeful that would be the end of her nagging. When my kids got home on December 20th, I asked, "Are you excited for 2.5 weeks with no school?" And John responded, "I'm more excited for 2.5 weeks with no Sue." Ava nodded and giggled along. It broke my heart to know that they were more happy to get a break from Sue than school. Just a couple of days ago, Zoe reached out to me thanking me for agreeing to watch Sue and asking if I could watch her a couple afternoons a week in addition so Zoe could have some me time. I told her this would no longer work, our kids did not mesh well and I didn't want to deal with more inappropriate requests. I thought Zoe might be mad, but instead she just begged me to watch Sue at least one morning a week. She apologized profusely and said I could parent however I wanted to. This made me feel bad because she genuinely needed my help and did not know what she would do. I told her I knew I could and that her apology was too little too late. My husband and kids stand by my decision, but some of the other moms think I should have been more accommodating, saying I'm selfish, that moms help moms and I'll never know when I might need help. Does my refusal to help Zoe make me an asshole? Update. Thank you for the responses. It was so validating to see that you support my actions. The moms in my neighborhood didn't, but at least a few hundred strangers on the internet did. I want to address some common comments and hopefully provide reasoning as to why I initially agreed to help Zoe. In addition, there are some new developments I'd like to share. First, I want to give background. This shouldn't change the verdict, but hopefully it makes you think I'm less of a doormat. Zoe is married but her husband works in a city 2 hours away and is hardly ever home, and Zoe herself works a demanding job with weird hours. They already pay a fortune for their nanny, so I was happy to lift some of the burden. She did not pay me. This may sound snobbish but my husband makes a lot of money, so an extra few dollars didn't seem to be a huge deal. Plus, one of the things I enjoy most as a stay-at-home mom is getting to do these things for other families. So long as they're pleasant, and having a house full of happy kids. Not to get too personal, but I grew up in poverty with alcoholic parents. My parents struggled to put food on the table and our utilities frequently got shut off, so it was often the kindness of our neighbors that kept me fed, clothed, clean, and maybe even alive. So yeah, in retrospect I shouldn't have agreed to do so much for Zoe for free, and I have learned from my mistakes, but hopefully this can help you understand why I did it in the first place. Now on to the story. One of the moms who is close to me, Jen, reached out asking what happened with Zoe. I thought everyone knew, but I recalled the events of the semester leading up to a couple days ago. Jen said that's not what she heard. Zoe had told everyone that she paid me $100 an hour and that I let the kids watch R-rated shows and eat candy for breakfast, and I called her a stuck-up bitch when she asked me not to. She told them my kids bullied Sue so relentlessly that she came home crying every day she came to my house, and that I encouraged said bullying. When Zoe complained about this to me, I supposedly denied it. To top it off, I demanded Zoe pay me $200 an hour or I would stop watching her, little brat. I was horrified that Zoe was spreading this misinformation about me. I assured Jen that none of it was true, showing her receipts of my text exchanges with Zoe. Jen told me she believed me and promised to help me set the record straight. I just don't know what to do because none of the moms will talk to me and all of the playdates John and Ava had scheduled were cancelled. I worry because even if we can convince everyone that Zoe is a liar, people will still be suspicious of me. My family has only lived in this town for a couple of years and Zoe's family has lived here much longer. I can take my reputation being tarnished, but I worry especially for my kids. I don't want their friendships to be ruined by some girl who can't accept my decision to not provide free childcare. Not the asshole. You did this to your kids for long enough. No, it is time to prioritize them for a change. But some of the other moms think I should have been more accommodating, saying I'm selfish. Tell them. It is great they are volunteering. You will pass their offer on to Zoe. Not the asshole. She is begging. You can parent however you want, just 1 day a week. You feel bad. Say okay and then fast forward a few weeks and then it's 2 mornings and 2 afternoons. Zoe needs to find her own daycare. Parenting is hard and we all could use a break, but the audacity of asking you to take her additionally in TBE afternoon a couple times of for me time as if you aren't dealing with your own kids and hers. I like the request for me time, with no reciprocation offered. Then, moms help moms, but only if it benefits me. Not the asshole. You were kind and generous. Not the asshole. Tell the moms who are calling you selfish that they can look after the kid instead. You provided so many hours of free childcare. Elite. Not the asshole. Gen Xer here and latchkey kid, and I am dying laughing. At 9 I was riding my bike through the neighborhood, staying out for hours by myself, playing by a brook. I was responsible for my 5-year-old sister when we got home from school until grandma or my parents would return. It sounds like she is a single mom. She really needs to be teaching her child life skills and independence if she doesn't have a nanny, babysitter, family member providing regular childcare. You gave her feedback telling her you're not adjusting how you do things and she kept on. She then continued asking anyways. Not the asshole. She proved she knew she was crossing boundaries by bringing up more stuff every week, did so anyways, then guilted you after continually disrespecting you. Her entitlement just grew by the week and she earned the consequences. Am I the asshole for shouting at my boyfriend for manspreading in the car? My 23 female boyfriend, 23 male, was visiting my family for New Year's. We had a nice time. I was staying with my family for a few more days, and he was going to see his family. As he doesn't drive, I drove him home. Because we live within walking distance of each other in town, I've never driven him anywhere before. I drive a smallish car with a stick, so when we got in I politely asked him to keep out of the way of the stick so I could drive safely. He's not much taller than me and his seat was all the way back so there was more than enough room for his legs. 10 minutes into the drive he spreads out and I struggled to change gears, so I said, "Please move your legs," he did. Then spread out again. The road was long and I didn't need to change gears, so I just said to him that he might need to move his legs soon. Then we went down a narrow road with cars parked on the side. I slowed down as much as I could without changing gear. I wasn't going fast, only 30 mph, and then suddenly the car in front of me stopped. I wasn't expecting this, so I practically did an emergency stop. At this my boyfriend said, "Chill, woman." As I was at a stop I needed to change gears, so I shouted, "Stop FXX King man spreading. Let me get to my gears, and you can criticize my driving when your license is pink." He said the woman in the car in front is who he was talking about, but there was no way he could know the driver in front was female. He was then really upset with me, and I felt bad for blowing up, so he drove in silence for the rest of the ride. And he's been barely texting me since. Context. I live in the UK. People with pink licenses have passed their driver's test. I don't buy for a second that he meant the driver in front when he exclaimed, "Chill, woman." Normally shouting at your partner is never okay, but you were in a suddenly stressful emergency situation that his behavior was directly exacerbating, so the circumstances are understandable. The much bigger problem is that your boyfriend appears to be perfectly comfortable lying to your face and then darvoing you. ETA. Thought this was our relationship _advice. Not the asshole. I come from a family of giants. None of them need so much space that their legs are hitting the gear shift. He wasn't doing that for necessary comfort. He was doing it on purpose. It was stupid and dangerous and not at all acceptable. He was also yelling at you but tried to cover when you called him on it. Don't call for his nonsense. Not the asshole, but stop blaming yourself for getting upset at this guy who is endangering your lives for no reason. Not the asshole, but the better response would have been to simply pull over the second time he did it and tell him he can walk. Your boyfriend isn't manspreading. He is trying to be annoying. His behavior after screams darvo, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, straight out of the abuser's handbook. I expect it was the manspreading reference that has got his goat, so he is sulking. Not the asshole. He should have moved his gangly legs the first time you asked him. Don't mess with the driver when they are driving, and that includes their music. His crime. Unnecessarily blocking access to the car controls after being politely asked not to. Her crime. Not being nice enough when telling him he needs to allow the driver full access to the car controls, also using a word that deeply upsets a certain kind of man. Obviously not the asshole. Am I the asshole for only getting a college graduation gift for my 28M son and not my DIL 28F? So I'm a 55F and my son who I raised as a single mother recently graduated from grad school. His wife my DIL also graduated at the same time and I gave a special gift of a bit of cash just to my son because I'm proud of him as his mother and I feel a sense of pride since I raised him as a single mom. I figured my DIL had her own parents to gift to her. Well, my DIL texted me saying she was very hurt that I only acknowledged my son, her husband's grad, and not hers, as she thought she was a part of the family as my DIL and they've been together for a while. She said she didn't expect the same amount of money of course, but just a card or something. She said she felt like I overlooked all her hard work and only saw my son's. However, I don't feel like I need to apologize or justify my choice in wanting to reward my son individually. I could be the asshole for overlooking my DIL's accomplishment and only acknowledging my son's. You are the asshole. A card, a bouquet of flowers or a letter acknowledging how hard she worked would have been minimal effort on your part and been special to her. She is being honest with you. Perhaps validating her feelings might be a great way to have a deeper relationship with her. You are the asshole. You didn't even get her a card? Harsh. Well, congratulations, you just bought yourself less time with your son. If he's smart, he won't hang around often with people who don't treat his wife right. Now, to be fair, you did say you were single for most of your life, so you aren't used to thinking about others. It sounds like you didn't acknowledge her at all, not that you didn't get her a gift. If she's been around for a few years and you've got an okay relationship, you are the asshole. If she'd been looking for a payout, I'd be giving you a pass, but you didn't even get her a congratulations card? She's your DIL? Yeah, you are the asshole. I'd be surprised if your son isn't annoyed with you as well. You are the asshole. I can understand your DIL's feelings. Do you regard her as part of your family? She said she didn't expect the same amount of money of course, but just a card or something. She said she felt like I overlooked all her hard work and only saw my son's. Yeah, you did overlook her. You didn't even acknowledge her achievement. It doesn't sound like she wanted much. Why wouldn't you send a congratulations card, some chocolates or flowers at least? However, I don't feel like I need to apologize or justify my choice in wanting to reward my son individually. That's up to you. Perhaps not the best way to be with your son's wife as a long-term strategy though. Did her parents give your son a card or gift? Ada's sentence. You are the asshole. I think it sends a message that you don't consider your DIL as part of your family. You didn't have to get her anything expensive, even some flowers and a card. But you chose to exclude her. My mother-in-law treats me as if I'm her daughter. She doesn't say in-law, she says daughter. I'm treated the same way her sons are, because to her we're family. My mom isn't the same way, and it's noticeable. Am I the asshole for snapping back at my brother's fiancé for criticizing my parenting? I, 35 female, have 3 children, 10 male, 8 female, and 5 male, with my husband, 36 male. My younger brother, 29 male, is marrying Pia, 27 female, in May. They've been dating for a few years. While we've never been close, we get along okay, although I've never loved how she often oversteps with my kids. E.g. giving them dessert before dinner when my husband and I have said no, joking about how stuffy we are as parents, constantly referring to herself as the cool aunt, etc. Something important to note is that she works in fashion, which her parents often judge, comparing her to her siblings who have jobs that are considered much more successful in our community, so she has a bit of a complex about it. Last night we were all having dinner at my parents' place. The topic turned to my kids' school, extracurriculars. My older son plays soccer, piano, and does karate, my daughter does classical dance, art classes, and swimming, and my younger son does classical singing and basketball. They all have extra math classes once a week. For context, Elle regretted my parents not putting me in any activities when I was younger and don't want my kids to feel the same. My husband thinks it'll teach them time management, and hopefully some of these hobbies stick. Right now, they enjoy everything, but this could change, boosting their college applications when that time comes. And obviously, we expect them to excel in school. All 3 can do well in their classes without effort, but we don't want them to coast by and burn out like we did. So we are firm on them actually studying, doing HW, etc. So anyway, my daughter is talking about which classes she has which day and Pia says something like, "Wow, I can't believe you keep them so busy, they're just kids." My husband is like, "Yeah, it's important to be well-rounded." Then later, my son is talking about how much he studied for a math test and Pia goes, It can't have been that important though, you're 10. You should tell your parents to let you relax. At this point, I get a little pissed, so I'm like, we want them to build good habits so that they can actually be successful in the future. When you have kids, if you want to raise them to fail, that's up to you. At this, she got really upset and left the room. I guess she thought I was implying that she was a failure, which was not my intention. My brother was pretty mad and thought I was being unnecessarily harsh and that I should have known how sensitive she is about this topic. My parents agreed, saying that I didn't need to take what she said so seriously. My husband disagrees and says that she doesn't have any place to tell us how to raise our kids, and maybe this will stop her from constantly giving us her 2 cents on something she doesn't have any experience with. I don't know, I feel bad for upsetting her because I never meant to insult her profession with my comment, but at the same time, I do kind of feel like she had it coming for her constant criticisms of our parenting. Am I the asshole? Edit. Since a lot of people are assuming that I was talking about not putting kids in extracurriculars when I said, raising kids to fail, I wasn't. Since Pia was talking about my son studying for his test and how she thought that was unnecessary, that is what I was talking about, as I believe it's important for kids to study. I do not think that kids who don't do extracurriculars are bound to fail, or that my kids would somehow be failures if they didn't do these activities. I just think that it is one good way to set them up for success. Edit 2. More context with some things I added in the comments. I have never forced my kids to continue their extracurriculars, and they know that if they ever feel like they want to stop, they can tell me. I have told them this many times and they are tired of me asking if they want to quit when they don't. My kids chose their extracurriculars and have lots of friends there. They have told me multiple times how happy they are to be doing them, always have stories about something fun they did in their classes, etc. I tell my kids to excel in school because that is what they are doing right now, and I know they are capable of it in the future as long as they develop good study skills and work ethic, which I hope that I am providing them with the tools they need to do. If they were ever not doing well despite trying, I would never punish them for that, and they know that would be an instance where we could have an open conversation. Edit 3. My kids' schedule, since people have been asking. They wake up at 8 a.m. School starts at 9 and is a 5-minute drive from my house. They shower, eat breakfast, and I drop them. They come home around 3:30 p.m. They play outside with their friends until around half an hour before their activity for the day, when we get ready, including eating a small snack like a fruit or a sandwich. If they were more hungry when they got home from school, I might give them rice or something then, and go. The kids also have granola bars and things in their activity bags, and they're allowed to eat in most of their classes, like during a break or something. The activities usually start around 5:15, but some of them start a little later. Their activities typically end 6 o'clock, 6:45. The latest they are ever home by is 7, but that is only on Thursdays, and usually they are home sooner, by 6:15, 6:30. From then to 7:30 is their time to freshen up and get ready for dinner, which is 7:30, 8 o'clock. At dinner we watch something that they want as a family, an episode of a show they like or something like that. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock they do homework. This isn't an everyday thing. If they don't have homework, it's more free time. My older son likes to do extra homework and is a bit of a perfectionist, so he usually likes to use up that time. I've told him multiple times he doesn't have to. The younger two rarely have much to do, especially my younger son, who never has homework, just a monthly choice board with some fun activities. So they will usually just sit with their brother, goof around, talk, whatever, sometimes bother him a bit, lol. Sometimes I will let them watch TV or something, especially my daughter who is older. Or sometimes if they didn't have too hectic of a day, I'll ask them to help out with some chores. Yes, they have an allowance. Or they will be doing music practice or something like that. Until around 9:15 they'll just be all together. Then they brush their teeth and off to bed at 9:30 p.m. On the weekends, sometimes there are games or recitals in the morning. If not, then they spend that time practicing. Then on Saturdays they have afternoon classes, until about 4. After 4 we usually set them loose and they play outside, getting their unstructured playtime, or we have playdates set up. This is until about 8, when we spend some time together eating dinner and stuff as a family. Sometimes we'll have movie night or game night. This is until around 10, 10:30, when they will go to bed, if it is a Saturday. If it's a Sunday, 9:30. Or we might have a dinner party. In that case we will probably be out a little longer, around 12:01. The kids usually end up falling asleep there. Also, Sunday is mostly their day. We have an informal rule where we don't really tell them what to do unless they have a makeup class, pretty uncommon, or some kind of family event, which is usually in the evening, past 7. So no matter what, they get the morning and afternoon to themselves. The 10th of September 11, whenever they wake up until 6-7-ish. Sometimes we might ask if they want to go to the library or a nearby park, or they'll just play at home. Honestly, I use the weekend mornings, afternoons to catch up on chores and do meal prep, groceries, etc. so my husband handles the kids' situation more at these times. Which is why I neglected to mention this in more detail earlier, but my husband thought it was relevant. It may seem a bit hectic, but it is what works for us and we never have had any issues with it. Edit 4. I will be having an honest conversation with my kids tomorrow about whether they enjoy their activities and to reiterate that I would not consider them a failure if they ever wanted to quit. Which is just what people have been saying they might think. I don't know how it'll go, but I will keep you all updated. Added update. Thanks to everyone who replied earlier. After reading what everyone had to say throughout yesterday and today, I texted Pia today and we agreed to meet at my brother's to talk, since I wanted to apologize. I started off by saying that I was sorry for what I said and that I hurt her feelings and made her feel bad about her profession even unintentionally. I could have handled the disagreement differently. I also apologized for possibly communicating that I thought her future kids might fail if she doesn't parent them the way I do mine. She said she didn't take it that way but was more upset that she thought I was calling her a failure. I reassured her I wasn't and do not see her that way. She ended up accepting my apology and we talked about some other things, including why I lashed out. I told her that I really appreciate her being a caring aunt to the kids, but I was genuinely confused why she always seemed to think that whatever we were doing was wrong and it led to me snapping. She was hesitant to talk about it at first, but ended up revealing more about her childhood and how it affects the way she sees our kids, the only kids she really has any type of regular contact with. According to her, her parents were strict in some ways, like eating habits, gender roles, and grades, and she sometimes projects these on my children, which explains some other comments she's made before. And on the flip side, some of the other more chill things she does is a conscious sort of effort to intervene whenever she sees hints of her parents' parenting style in the way we interact with our kids. Despite her parents' strictness in some areas, they didn't really care about what their kids did out of school and wouldn't sign them up for anything even if they asked. She said that she felt horrible for thinking this way, but she felt jealous of how my kids got to explore so many different activities which she never got to as a kid, especially seeing how happy they always are about them. Basically, seeing my kids raised, like she wishes she was raised, just made her think of the what-ifs and brought back the bad memories of what life with her parents actually was like, and demeaning our parenting was an attempt to make us seem less perfect. She's told my brother about this but begged him not to tell me because she didn't want us to have a negative opinion of her. Apparently she's been trying to find a therapist, but it's been tough finding someone who can help her while also understanding things from a cultural perspective. I'll admit it threw me off a little since it wasn't what I had expected, but obviously it was difficult for her to admit and she clearly wasn't proud of feeling that way. I told her I was really glad that she opened up to me and that I could see her path, but that her trauma wasn't an excuse to try and parent my kids for me, and that I didn't know how comfortable I would be letting her around my kids just for now, until she can get the help that she needs. I asked her to let me know if there's anything else I can do, because I do really feel bad for her after hearing all this, even though I'm a little disturbed at how fixated she is on my kids. I also told her that she should try to remember that she has a cool job she loves, is marrying a man she loves, and is away from her parents' influence, which sounds pretty successful. Not that she needs me to tell her, but she looked like she needed reassurance after our talk. She thanked me and said she would try her best to rein in the parenting talk and that she never saw how it bothered me since I usually would try to play it off. I usually do that to avoid tension. All in all, I think that went as well as it could have. I do wish we didn't have to go LC, but after talking with my husband, we've decided that right now, that's what's best for our kids to protect them from being confused and used as parts of their aunt's trauma. We hope that once she's talked with a professional and gotten some real counseling about her past, my kids will be able to build a healthier relationship with her. On a slightly related note, we will be having a family meeting later tonight with my kids once they get back from playing outside to discuss the incident and examine their schedule. Since the conflict with future sister-in-law is kind of resolved, IDK if it would be appropriate to update on how the family talk goes, but I can do that if people really want to know. It's not her place to criticize, and she sounds very annoying. I'd have set boundaries too. But oh my god, your kids are very much overscheduled. If you regret not being put in activities, go take a pottery class or learn the trumpet or something. Don't live vicariously through your kids by giving them burnout before high school. You are the asshole. Your kids are seriously overscheduled. Do they have any downtime? You can teach time management without overwhelming your kids with activities. Also, your comment was unnecessarily and intentionally cruel. You're the asshole. Let your kids be kids. Making them too busy to suit your interests and making them well-rounded is just gonna make them resentful of you. And you were absolutely out of line. Yes, she's overstepping. She also has a point though. Balance is important for healthy development. I had one friend like this in middle school, parents hyperfixated on college admissions and a very full extracurricular calendar. In high school, as soon as she got an ounce of freedom, she became known for giving sexual favors to boys in the school bathroom. My randomly assigned freshman roommate was the same, all Kumon and med school pressure. We were loading her into an ambulance with alcohol poisoning within the first month of college. You don't have to like your sister-in-law. Don't let that stop you from considering her perspective though. Your kids may feel the same when they're her age if you aren't careful. But you more than her. She made a comment you didn't like, big whoop. This comment overstepped so much more. When you have kids, if you want to raise them to fail, that's up to you. It was cruel. From my pa, which you won't care about, your kids are overscheduled. Yes, success in life is important, but for a 10-year-old to do soccer, piano, karate and an extra math lesson on top of studying is way too much. I say this as a 5th grade teacher that used to tear my hair out over late and missing assignments from students. I hope you aren't overcompensating over your parents not putting you in extracurricular. As far as being the cool aunt and undermining dinners, not cool but also not cruel. You are the asshole. I can just tell you're one of those obnoxious Desi tiger parents. Pia is honestly the normal one here, you're not. I say this as a South Asian too. Get a grip.